So today we're going to talk about how do you release this very deep fear that you have over not getting the manifestation. This is not a small issue for a lot of you, and it probably is the issue, the reason that a lot of you are not seeing results in the, big manifestations, especially relationships. That's where this plays out the most, is in SP manifestations. And what I mean by that is so many of you are so afraid of maybe not getting chosen, or your SP choosing a third party, or you're so afraid of that person continuing to reject you. You are just in so much suffering over even the suggestion of that ironically is what you manifest. So today we're going to get deeper into that, but first I should introduce myself. My name is Genevieve, and obviously on this channel we talk about manifestation. This YouTube channel looks relatively new because technically it is, but I have been a manifestation coach for a while, and my original platform where I have most of my content is Instagram. So if you want to go over to Instagram, I'm just Manifest with Genevieve. The link to that is below. If you want to see more of my slides and reels and things, it's all over there. I also have links below to work with me if you would like to talk with me personally about your specific situation, the issues that you've got going on, and all of that. Coaching is really good for this kind of stuff. I know for myself, I thought when I first discovered law of assumption, I don't need a coach. Like, this is so easy to figure out. It's so simple. And it is very simple. But when it comes to the trickiness of our own minds and how our minds can delude us, or it's like your ego can hijack your manifestation process and delude you into thinking that, oh yeah, you're doing everything perfect, you're totally doing it right. And sometimes you need a coach or someone outside of you who's objective about this, who can help you see your own blind spots. So coaching is great for that. So if you want to work with me, the link to that is below. And then also I have a meditation. So if you are manifesting a male SP and you want a meditation that's going to help you get into the normalcy of being in the wish fulfilled, the link to that meditation is below as well. So cool, that's it. So let's get back to you being the operant power of your reality. What that means is that you have come to this earth in this interesting temporary physical form that you have manifested yourself into, and you have this total array of all these kinds of different experiences that you can have throughout this life. And some of the experiences are things we deem as positive, that the ego deems as positive, that things like love and connection and, amazing, juicy, sexy times. And then there's also things that the ego really thinks it wants to avoid, like victimhood and fear and anything that's really challenging or seemingly dangerous or confusing. Those are also options for our experience. And so as the operant power, you're coming into this interesting earth and you're seeing around you, okay, I can identify myself with any of these experiences. Like, it's all me. It's mine for the taking. I can have whatever I want. But often we are not really neutral to all of these different things because of the beliefs we got as children, typically. You chose to come into a particular family or society that was going to condition you in a certain way. And this is still a part of you as the operant power. This is a side note, first tangent, is before you even came into this physical form, you knew what you were getting into. You chose your parents, you manifested all of that fun stuff. And so once you were in your physical childhood, you at the physical time didn't have full maturity to actually be the operant power of your reality. But even so, before you came in, you knew exactly what you were getting into. So you still manifested it, even though the children who are still not consciously mature enough yet to be the true sovereign operant powers of their own reality. And honestly, I don't think that really happens until 18, sometimes 25 is what they say, until your brain is completely formed for you to really be truly independent. So obviously up until then, you can still practice manifesting and you can still manifest a lot of stuff. But in terms of being the true operant power, the true sovereign operant power of your reality, that doesn't happen until you developmentally reach adulthood. So when you're a young child, you are naturally the extension of your family's manifestations and your society that you came into, those manifestations. So, and again, you knew that. You signed up for that. Like, you knew what you were getting into when you came in. So anyway, but you were conditioned a certain way. And a lot of you were probably conditioned in such a way that you really wanted to avoid certain experiences. You had experiences as a kid that you, as a child, could not understand, felt really overwhelming and scary, felt life-threatening, and maybe even were life-threatening for some of you. And so as an adult, the ego is trying to really help you to avoid anything that feels like that anymore. Like, avoid rejection, avoid pain, do not choose, as the operant power, any experiences that feel like pain or rejection. But the paradox of this is that the more your ego is like hyper attached to protecting you from or helping you to avoid in a fearful way certain experiences, you are attached to those experiences. This is what the ego doesn't totally understand, is it thinks that it is protecting you by keeping you very afraid or keeping you in a heightened state of wanting to avoid, but it's actually tethering your identity even deeper to an identity of suffering around those things, because the ego is saying, those things are so bad, you cannot handle them, that would be the worst thing that would ever happen to you, and that's your I am. Your I am is, I cannot handle rejection. It overwhelms me, it ruins me, I cannot handle rejection. That's my I am. And remember, as the operant power, what your I am is, what your identity is what will manifest. So this is what's happening. So now you're trying to manifest an SP, and you're desperately trying to embrace and trust and know with conviction that you and this person are in a safe, committed, healthy love, and this person chooses you, and this person prioritizes you, and all the fun stuff. But there is this manifesting against. It's like your ego fears are manifesting against, trying to disprove the identity of rejection that it so wants you to avoid. It's like hoping that, okay, if I can just make this happen, if I can just make my SP choose me, it will prove that I am safe from rejection, that I finally will be totally safe and I'll be able to avoid rejection. But if you can see it clearly, it's like all of your actual creation energy is still coming from the wound per se. It's coming from the I am rejection. I so want to escape rejection, so therefore I'm going to manifest from the wound, get the SP to love me, then I'll feel better. So I get it. This is a little bit complicated, but let me get back to what I was saying in the beginning, is seeing everything no longer from this ego fear judgment of, oh, these experiences are really bad and you cannot handle them, do not even go here. And these are really good, these are the only ones you want, these are on a pedestal. Taking out the ego from that and seeing all of it as neutral. They're all just experiences that a human can have, that I can have. But as the operant power, you are claiming yourself now as unconditional fulfillment. This is another part of knowing yourself as the operant power. You know yourself as a being that exists eternally. You are God. You are, again, God having this temporary, interesting, human manifested life. And you are having it because when God creates itself in a limited form, it gets to overcome its self-created limitations, if that makes sense. So that's why we say, like, we come into these lives to expand. We create a limitation for ourselves as God, so that as God, we can overcome that limitation in a new way. And it's kind of cool when you think about it in that way. So this fear of rejection, or whatever it is for you, I'm obviously using the rejection thing because that tends to be the biggest thing when it comes to an SP, but this fear of rejection, this absolute desperate terror around rejection, that is the false limitation that you have adopted so that you can overcome it in a totally new way. But in order to overcome it, you have to genuinely neutralize it. You have to start seeing, as I've said a few times, everything, including rejection, as just an experience. It's not something terrible you have to avoid. It's not going to make or break your existence. It's not the worst thing that could ever happen to you. It's just an experience, just like love is an experience, just like victimhood is an experience, or just like being successful is an experience, or just like finding a penny on the ground is an experience. They're all just human experiences, and you can choose whatever you want to choose. And being the true grounded operant power is seeing that clearly, that like none of these things are morally good or bad or going to destroy you or whatever. That's just the human ego putting that in there. So the more that you are really afraid of your old stories and you're really in the rejection wound and you're manifesting from it, because that's also what the ego thinks is like, if I can just control this, if I can just make it happen, it'll heal this, it'll solve it. But that never happens, because even when, like I've said in other videos, even when you get the thing you want, you usually sabotage it in some ways, because the wound itself, it cannot heal itself through that kind of thing. It can only heal itself by shifting into a genuinely new state of consciousness. So this is what we mean by shifting states, shifting your state of being from a state of being that is primarily rejection focused and wanting to protect you from rejection, and therefore manifesting from a control paradigm that wants to protect you from rejection, into stepping into a genuine state of being that's like, there's no rejection weirdness. I'm just in a relationship with my person. I'm just genuinely having a great time with my person. Internally, I feel so safe with them. I feel like there's no weirdness between us. I feel like everything is going really well. And there's nothing weird I'm trying to disprove by manifesting them. I'm just in the reality where it's all working out. So there's a big difference between those two things. Okay, so I think we got that covered, but let me know if you have any questions just about the way I explain that, because I know that it is a lot, but it's really important to explain when you really want to get deeper into true law of assumption, conscious manifestation work. You've got to see you as the operant power really clearly and see that all experiences, as I said, are just a choice. It's not bad to be a victim. It's not bad to feel rejection. It's not bad to manifest that kind of stuff. It's just a choice you're making whenever you go there. But when the ego is so trained, and the ego, I should say, is your conscious self. It's what comes from your subconscious. So this is also why just trying to force your conscious mind to change is not enough, because this conscious mind, and I'm pointing here because it's the prefrontal cortex, which is where, your ego and your conscious mind kind of lives. It's all coming from what's already in your subconscious. So that's why we got to go deep into the subconscious to really change the way you're relating to yourself in a completely different way. So obviously we have to neutralize your fear of whatever it is that you're so afraid of. Probably, as I said, rejection. And that means probably doing some exposure therapy is what I call for this. And a lot of you are resistant to this. I have a lot of clients who I suggest exposure therapy to them, and they're like, oh, maybe I can just not do that because and that just shows how strong and visceral your fear of rejection is, that you won't even expose yourself to it a little bit. You're so avoidant of it in a fearful way. So, but let me explain it. There's probably lots of ways you can expose yourself to rejection in a healthy way, but let me explain deeper what I mean in a manifestation context. So I want you to somatically call in the experience of rejection. And when I say somatically, I mean you're going to get quiet, get calm, get relaxed. Also do this when you're already in a calm, confident state. Don't do this if you're already spiraling, because that's not ever a good time to do somatic kind of work, especially when you're exposing yourself to your old fears and your old stories in this way. So don't do this kind of shadow work. That's also another word for it, is shadow work. During a sensitive time. So you want to be calm, confident, kind of in a neutral state. And then you get quiet, you close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and really bring your awareness totally to your body. Get out of your mind and just notice what your body feels like, feeling what your body feels like in space, the different sensations and tensions or whatever in your body, really coming out of the thoughts in the conscious mind and coming into your body. And then call in the experience that you're the most afraid to experience. And for you, as we're talking about today, it's probably going to be something around rejection. So call in, what does it feel like to not be chosen? What does it feel like to be forgotten? What does it feel like to be rejected? How does it feel to feel like I'm totally not a priority to my SP or to whoever is super important to me? But here's the thing, you are going to call in this experience and then focus primarily on the sensations, not on the thoughts. Because what we're doing is we're untethering, we're detaching the ego thoughts that habitually always accompany these sensations And we're just bringing it into just physical experiences, and we're going to have new conscious meaning attached to these experiences. So you're going to call in the experience of rejection, and then in your conscious mind, instead of just allowing your mind to spiral in all the ways it used to when it comes to not being chosen, rejection, blah, 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 all that stuff, you are going to say to yourself, this is just an experience. This is just an experience, and I am the operant power, and I am not afraid of this. I'm not afraid of rejection. I am not afraid of not being chosen. It's just something that I could choose to experience for myself, and I know I'm the mature operant power that I am. I'm totally autonomous. I can choose whatever I want. If I want to, I can choose to go into the experience of rejection. I don't even need the 3D to trigger me over it. I can choose to go into it, and I can feel accepting of it. I can feel empowered around it. And this is also where I like to give a shout out to the book Existential Kink. I tell a lot of my clients about this book because she goes deep into even finding pleasure in the sensations of your old stories. And that's a really good way to neutralize your fear, is you get empowered around finding pleasure around it. I don't per se think you need to like actually find pleasure in it if you don't want to, but you do need to find acceptance and some form of empowerment around the state of rejection. So that is the gist of what I would have you do. And I would do that around anything that comes up that totally triggers you, because part of the reason the 3D or even just your internal self is triggering you is because it's you trying to show you, hey, here's where you're still off. Like you're still not getting this piece of it. And that's why your SP is maybe doing the exact opposite of what you want him to do or her to do. Take gender as it resonates. Because your fear is still the dominant driving force of things. You're still more afraid of not getting it than you are just accepting that you totally have it in a genuine way. Just accepting that like, yeah, it's easy for me to accept that I've got it. Partly because I'm not so afraid of not getting it. This is what we mean as well by talking about healthy detachment in manifestation. It means this, that you are not in an identity that's like totally tethered to my fulfillment only lies in this circumstance, because your SP choosing you is just a circumstance. As a manifestor, you are practicing believing in the circumstances that you prefer, but not in a way that you are making your fulfillment dependent on those circumstances. You are saying, I am fulfillment first. That's a big part of being the healthy self-concept of an operant power mindset. You're saying, I am unconditional fulfillment. I just know that's who I am. I'm not dependent on any circumstance to make me okay. And because I know that I am fulfillment, I can just be very confident to choose my preferred experiences. I'm no longer a victim to feeling like, oh, I have to experience this because this is all I've experienced and I don't know how to change it and I'm just a victim to my subconscious. You're no longer that way because you're like, I can even experience the thing I've been the most afraid to experience, and know that I can claim that I can reclaim it in an empowering way. I'm not a victim to always feeling rejected. So the bottom line is, when we coaches talk about being okay whether it happens or not, or being detached, this is what we mean, is letting go of the identity that's alive within you and very active and that you're very loyal to. The identity that says, I'm more interested in protecting myself from rejection than I am in just believing in my wish fulfilled. And I'm not trying to manifest someone from my identity of wanting to disprove my rejection because I feel like it's all I am and it's so powerful. Instead, you are able to just confidently step into the wish fulfilled and be like, yep, this is normal because anything I choose is normal. And I feel confident that as the operant power, I can choose whatever I want anytime. And it's not a big deal. It's like, I can just be easy about it. I'm not trying to manifest against something I'm so afraid of. Okay. This was a lot today, so let me know in the comments what you think, if this made sense. These were definitely some deeper spiritual topics we go into, but that's kind of who I am and the kind of coach I am. Is if you are looking for someone who's not just going to give you superficial advice about affirmations and stuff, but go deeper into what's really going on in your consciousness and who you really are as the operant power, as God alive in a human flesh, walking around manifesting. I'm your coach. So So please remember to like and subscribe to my channel. As I said, this is a relatively new channel. So, so liking it and subscribing can help boost and get this video out to more people. And yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think, what other questions you have, and I will talk to you later. All right, bye.